Hey guys, this is Philip. I chose to explicate two poems by Langston Hughes. Mr. Hughes was born in 1902 and died in 1967. In addition to poetry, he wrote novels, plays, and columns in newspapers. He was African American and used his position to write regarding freedom and rights during the Civil Rights Movement. On to the poem, though. The first poem I have chosen is Democracy. The poem reads, "Democracy will not come, today, this year, nor ever, through compromise and fear. I have as much right as the other fellow has to stand on my 2 feet and own the land. I tire so of hearing people say, let things take their course, tomorrow is another day. I do not need my freedom when I'm dead. I cannot live on tomorrow's bread. Freedom is a strong seed, planted in a great need. I live here too, I want freedom just as you." Now the title of this poem is Democracy, but I believe that Hughes is referring more to freedom and specifically freedom from the segregated America he was living in. Another main topic of the poem is activism. Hughes says in the third stanza, "I do not need my freedom when I'm dead. I cannot live on tomorrow's bread." This line means that instead of talking about getting freedom in the case of the blacks, or giving freedom in the case of the whites, both these groups need to actively work to put an end to segregation. So overall, I would say the theme of democracy is the active pursuit of freedom. Another important topic in poetry is symbolism. In the poem's third stanza, when the speaker says that I cannot live on tomorrow's bread, that bread is a symbol for freedom and all the rewards that come with it. Once segregation ended, Hughes knew that African Americans would receive a much better quality of life, and this is what he means by bread. Tone is an important part of this poem. The speaker does not whine or complain about the situation, he simply tries to explain a problem and persuade people to fix it. Based on this, I would say the poem's tone is persuasive. The best evidence of this is found in the third stanza, when the speaker says, "I tire so of hearing people say, let things take their course." This also relates back to the theme of an active pursuit of freedom, because the speaker persuades others to do something about the poem rather than just talking about it. The mood the poem creates is one of hope and desire. This is best seen in the last two stanzas, when the speaker talks about freedom being a strong seed planted in a great need. I believe he is saying that once people get the idea of freedom and what it brings, they will want it and work for it. The diction of the poem reflects that the author is well educated. For example, in stanza 3, Hughes wrote, "I tire so," to reflect an unhappy state with a condition instead of using a phrase such as, "I am fed up with." When you're trying to prove that you're equal to someone, in this case blacks to whites, you want to sound intelligent, and the author does that. Overall, I found this to be an interesting poem when taken in context of the time and Hughes' background. The second poem I chose to analyze is Life is Fine, also by Hughes. It reads as follows. "I went down to the river, I sat down on the bank. I tried to think but couldn't, so I jumped in and sank. I came up once and hollered, I came up twice and cried. If that water hadn't been so cold, I might have sunk and died. But it was cold in that water, it was cold. I took the elevator, 16 floors above the ground. I thought about my baby, and thought I would jump down. I stood there and I hollered, I stood there and I cried. If it hadn't been so high, I might have jumped and died. But it was high up there, it was high. So since I'm still here living, I guess I will live on. I could have died for love, but for living I was born. Though you may hear me holler, and you may see me cry, I'll be dog, sweet baby, if you gonna see me die. Life is fine, fine as wine, life is fine." The speaker of this poem appears to have just gone through the end of a relationship, likely a romantic one. This is apparent when you look at the lines in the fourth stanza that say, "I thought about my baby, and I thought I would jump down." In the end of the poem, though, the speaker seems to have pushed past his sadness, shown by him saying, "Life is fine, fine as wine, life is fine." Based on this, I believe the theme of the poem is staying strong even in bad situations in life, just like the speaker does. In this poem, the element of symbolism is somewhat relevant. I believe the speaker sinking and dying in the second stanza represents death or suicide, as does jumping off the building in the fourth stanza. The reason the speaker does not sink or jump, though, is because he realizes something. So I believe the shock of cold water in stanza 3 and the height of the building in stanza 6 represent reminders of all the good things the speaker still has in life. When the speaker talks about his sweet baby, he is most likely referring to a person he was formerly in a relationship with. These symbols all help relate to the theme by bringing in the depression to acceptance change of the speaker. The tone of this poem is very interesting here, mainly because it changes during the poem. The speaker begins with a sad, dreary tone, as he is clearly distraught by whatever has happened to him. It is not until the last 3 stanzas that a change is noticed, but here the speaker's tone is hopeful, confident, and joyful. The tone really reflects the theme, as someone who is thinking about suicide would be sad and depressed, but once they realize they are what they have, a happier tone would be expected. The mood of the poem changes as well during it. The opening 6 stanzas create a mood of sadness and hopelessness. Once the speaker has his change, though, the poem creates a mood of joy, happiness, and confidence. Like the tone, this also reflects the theme of the poem by going along with the story. The word choice Hughes uses in this poem is very informal and common compared to the previous poem. Contractions and unsophisticated words are used, such as hadn't been so cold, hollered, and dogged. The word choice has the effect of making the speaker feel like an everyday person that the audience can relate with. And the word choice is appropriate for the theme because people talking about suicide generally aren't too concerned with talking highly sophisticated. The only real use of imagery I found was the cold water in stanza 3 appeals to a sense of touch, and the height of the building in stanza 6 perhaps could appeal to a sense of sight. A very interesting note with this poem regarding how it relates to Hughes' background is that he never married. In addition to this, many biographers now believe that he was homosexual. Given this information, it is interesting that he chose to write about this topic since it likely relates to love. Perhaps he had a relationship behind the scenes. So that is my video on poem Explication. I hope you liked it, and thanks for watching.